I'm George Santos, and I'm here with We Are Not Journalists.
Coming up on We Are Not Journalists.
Can we just take a second and talk about how crazy that sounds?
I don't want to over-explain it.
We
for
don't need
our
to
audience.
unpack it. Yeah, I remember when I said I wanted to go down there, you were like,
Actually, I believe I was like, don't.
you know, it's
The
just,
trans kids in
they're
sports.
coming, they're taking over the swim team.
How are the Democrats not beating this shit? The GOP in Congress wouldn't vote for the rest of the GOP in Congress. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Welcome to We Are Not Journalists. I'm Maximilian Clark.
And I'm Walter Masterson.
And with our powers combined, we're still not
We're not journalists.
No, we're not.
Right. Stop DMing me saying, oh, well, you should include this as part of your story. What story? This is a bit. And if you didn't understand it, then you're the bit.
And please stop DMing me about my weight. I'm working on it. And it's very hurtful.
Yeah.
We all have our own separate fan bases.
All right.
Yeah. Now, this is a very exciting episode because it is our first episode that is simulcast on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
That's right. There's a video component now. If you've ever wondered, ooh, who belongs to that sexy voice?
Yeah. So listen, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should also go listen to it on Spotify or Apple.
And if you've been listening to us on your podcast app of choice, go over to Walter's YouTube channel and give us a watch.
And if you're watching and listening, okay, we get it. Smart ass.
So, exciting week on our show. We have a lot of fresh content about the newest stuff that's happening right now.
Okay, Max, we didn't talk about the Oscars.
Well,
though.
that was last week.
I know, but we forgot to talk about it last week, so I think we still need to mention it.
Okay, fine. But
All right, listen, I know it's old news. We're not going to go too much into the Oscars, but we're going to go into our favorite category.
Oh, yeah.
Here are the nominees for the Tell Us How You Really Feel award. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Sick and
Across the
Tired.
country are sick and tired of Republicans. The Republicans in Congress completely fail them. I feel the same way, and I'm a Republican member of Congress.
Kevin McCarthy, Ousted.
The office of Speaker of the House is hereby declared vacant.
If that's the way we're going to govern, I don't think America is going to be successful.
Chip Roy, One Thing.
I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, one material, meaningful, significant thing the Republican majority has done.
Matt Gaetz, Not Doing Our Job.
We cannot blame the Democrats for having not done our job. All we've gotten are lies and broken promises and failure and shutdowns.
And the award goes to Kevin McCarthy, Ousted.
Walter, was that the actual Oscars?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That totally was that was the real Oscars. It wasn't cap action on TikTok at all.
Wasn't Fight for Progress?
No.
All right, great. Well, I mean, I believe it, and I guess congratulations to former Speaker McCarthy. But
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like Katie Britt snubbed after her performance after the State of the Union. And, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And, it's hard for women in the Republican Party to get the respect that they deserve for ruining the Republican Party.
Especially a comedic genius like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's look at her recent sketch. This one, brilliant.
Honestly, if she put this forward, she would have won.
Delivery, timing. Just I'm saying too much about it.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
Just play the clip.
All you have to know is she is gaveling in. She's presiding over a session of Congress.
The members are reminded to abide by decorum of the House. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
I think I got 2 years of my life back watching that.
That was one of the greatest sketches I've ever seen.
Yeah, holy cow. And I think it does sort of point to the fact that it's getting hard to be taken seriously as a member of the GOP.
Yeah.
Probably because of the left and their wokeness.
It's because of the woke left.
And not because of a consequence of their own actions.
No, it's nothing. No.
Yeah.
Nothing is their fault. If it is their fault, it's really not their fault because it was also a plan. Have we learned nothing from January 6th?
I don't think so, based on the fact that we're still letting Trump get away with some pretty violent rhetoric.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole... That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath.
See what I mean? I feel like if we had learned the lessons of January 6th, we wouldn't just let him talk to his violent supporters like that.
Max, I think the problem with the left is you take these videos of Trump and then you play them just with no context.
So you're saying that if we had the full context,
yes,
bloodbath wouldn't sound so bad. All right.
Yes.
So he's not just calling for a bloodbath. All right.
No.
Let's play the clip.
Yeah.
We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole... That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath.
The former president also lashed out at migrants and defended January 6 criminals.
Is it possible that there's more context to this? Like maybe it's opposite day?
Well, I actually do have a little bit more context for you because this is how he started that rally.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and place your hand over your heart for the #1 song on iTunes, Amazon, and the Billboard charts, Justice for All, featuring President Donald J. Trump and the J6 Choir.
All right, I can't do this.
Yeah? You're quitting the persona?
I'm quitting the bit here. I can't.
Well, Walter, you've been pretending to be a conservative for the last 4 years.
Yeah, and this, I can't. And yeah. I'm not alone here. I'm not the only person that, can't, pretend to be awful any longer.
Yeah, no, it is part of a trend. There was Colorado conservative Ken Buck, who recently upped his retirement date from sometime in the future to right the hell now.
Like, he didn't even finish out his term.
No, he was just like, I cannot spend one more day with these people, I believe was his official statement on retirement. And it was actually super petty, too.
That's right, that's right. So he's leaving now to screw over Lauren Boebert, because...
Yeah, because during redistricting, her district disappeared, and so she would have to run against him, which she was planning on doing in the next election. And instead, in order to get his seat now, she would have to leave her own seat. And she doesn't think that she can win.
So she can't win in her district because it doesn't exist.
Right.
And she can't win in his district because...
She's Lauren Boebert.
She's Lauren Boebert, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. And the insane thing to me is this isn't the start of a wave of retirements. This is the middle of a wave of retirements. We already talked about Mitch McConnell giving up because this whole GOP, the brand new MAGA GOP, is bad for his legacy.
These are people that take pictures in front of Confederate flags.
Yeah, they haven't released a Christmas card since 1970 that doesn't have a kid with a gun in it.
Every Christmas card they have has like their children holding guns and with AR-15s.
10 years ago, these people voted to strip mine the Grand Canyon for copper.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they wanted to let a foreign company come in and just mine some copper.
So these are the same people. They hold guns. So these are the same people whose children hold guns in Christmas cards. They wanted to strip mine.
You don't have to recap. Just immediately just go and be like, and they're worried about their legacy.
And they're worried about their legacy.
Are they wrong?
No.
And this is the insane thing to me. And and there's people in the middle who are just like, well, geez, I don't know. Yeah, well, everyone's just like, give kids guns or give kids vaccines.
Yeah, I mean, it's kids. You ever seen the swim team lately? And it's
the trans kids in sports.
They're taking over the swim team.
How are the Democrats not beating this shit? The GOP in Congress wouldn't vote for the rest of the GOP in Congress. And you look at the polls for the House in the fall, and it's like 50-50.
That's because the Democrats, I feel like, that's because the Democrats don't have any real messaging, and they don't know how to handle Republican talking points to just cut through and go, Ugh.
Yeah, they're like, oh, aren't trans kids taking over our schools and forcing people to lose in sports? And the Democrats are like, well, we shouldn't say that.
That's why this Fox News interview is so refreshing.
Senator Sanders, can I talk to you about the 32-hour work week? It seems like Fox Business. It seems like Democrats want businesses to be taxed more, pay their workers.
Really? Is that what you think?
pay their workers.
Excuse me.
I didn't get to ask a question.
Okay, thank you.
Senator,
You want to hold it? Okay. We held a hearing on a 32-hour work week because what we have seen is that over the last 50 years, despite a huge increase in worker productivity, almost all of the wealth has gone to the top 1%, while 60% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. Many of our people are exhausted. We work the longest hours of any people in the industrialized world. I think it's time for a shortened work week.
Could I ask you a question about that? It seems like Democrats want businesses to be taxed more,
Really? No, that's not my
pay
assumption.
their
I don't
workers
think
more,
so.
lower prices,
You
and
know
now
what,
pay people
Democrats-
not to work.
You know what I would like to see? I can
How
yell
are
as loud
businesses
as
going to
you.
survive that? That's the question. How can businesses survive all of those proposals?
When Mr. Bezos pays an effective tax rate lower than the average worker, I think we have a real problem in our tax system. I think that billionaires have got to start paying their fair share.
I never thought I'd be made happier by a Fox News clip. Hate to ask, what was the comments section like?
Oh, yeah. So it started off with Bernie Sanders doesn't understand how business works.
I kind of think that Bernie Sanders probably does know how business works.
No, Max. I mean, if you're a CEO, you need to extract the maximum value from your laborers. And, that's what creates the surplus value.
Right. Okay. So if I'm a CEO, I want to reduce overhead by paying my employees as little as possible while getting the maximum efficiency out of them?
Yes.
I don't know, Walter. I sort of feel like this whole system tends to exploit the working class.
You're not getting it, Max. I really wish someone had written a book about the relationship between labor, surplus value, and capital.
Das Kapital.
Yeah, German capital, American capital. It doesn't matter. Same thing.
No, I mean Karl Marx.
Oh, no, that's socialism. And by the way, who is Bernie Sanders to be talking about any of this? I mean, he owns 3 houses.
But, I mean, isn't that a good thing from a Republican perspective? He's written best-selling books. He saved up. He bought houses. Isn't that the American dream?
No, he's talking about income inequality while he has 3 houses.
So,
you can't do
wait,
that.
hang on. You're saying that if you're rich, you can't say tax the rich? Why not?
Max, the second you want to talk about income inequality, you immediately have to join a poverty cult.
But if you give up all your wealth and you're poor, how do you have the resources to tell people about income inequality?
You don't. You have to, if you're poor, you have to get a better job. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get to where you are by merit. This is a meritocracy.
I'm getting a little stressed out by all this, and I think we need a cleanse. We need just like whatever the mental equivalent is of drinking 5 tablespoons of olive oil.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's do it.
System.
Timeline cleanse.
Yeah, exactly. So let us turn back to one of our favorite segments, reading inspirational tweets by the right's best thinker, Jordan B. Peterson.
A genius, really.
Genius. Doctor.
I'm sorry. Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. I always forget that. I always forget he's a doctor.
He's a doctor. Hello, dreamers, and welcome to another inspiring tweet from Jordan B. Peterson. This week's tweet is in response to Elmo, the Sesame Street Muppet. Elmo wrote, "Ramadan Mubarak, everyone. Elmo loves you." To which Dr. Jordan B. Peterson responded,
Hamas will never win over the righteous keepers of the West. Up yours, scum!
And this has been another inspirational tweet by Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Can we just take a second and talk about how crazy that sounds?
I don't want to over-explain it.
We
for
don't need
our
to
audience.
unpack it. I'm just saying, if this, let's just say Cookie Monster.
Great,
right?
love him.
Let's just say he wished everyone a Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Or a Happy Easter.
Sure.
And a Muslim came in and said, like, I declare Islamic Jihad, Allah, like Akbar, all of that, right?
Uh-huh.
We would know exactly what this is. We wouldn't have there'd be no confusion.
It would be pretty crazy for someone to go after Cookie Monster.
Yes. So if someone went after Cookie Monster.
Yeah, so that happened a couple of weeks ago.
Wait, what?
Oh, you didn't hear about this? Cookie Monster, for some reason, decided to talk about shrinkflation affecting...
Shrinkflation?
It's when companies are selling you fewer cookies for the same price.
Or more.
Yeah. And Cookie Monster was upset because he didn't have as many cookies. And Joe Biden was like, yeah, shrinkflation is a problem. And so Republicans tried to cancel Cookie Monster. They went after him, called him a communist plant.
Yeah.
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster. Right. Cookie Monster.
Yeah. It's Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster.
Elected officials went after him.
People in elected office.
These are people who can take us to war. And they want to... We'll be right back. Welcome back to We Are Not Journalists, the show with all the politics of a real news program, but none of the pants.
No pants.
No pants. Keep it loose. Now, big story of the week. John Barrett, the quality manager at Boeing, was found dead in a hotel parking lot just before he was supposed to testify against Boeing and their quality control. And the medical examiner has ruled this a suicide, but a lot of people kind of doubtful.
Yeah, just like his testimony, right? Unbelievable.
Wait, you're saying his testimony against Boeing that...
Yeah, I mean, he wanted us all to believe that Boeing's problems stemmed from shareholders cutting corners year after year to maximize profit, and not because, black people become pilots sometime.
Well, there is a lot of evidence for that. As a matter of fact, on this show a few weeks ago, we talked to someone who told us story after story of people at Boeing and their subsidiary manufacturing plants. They went to the government themselves because they didn't want blood on their hands. They were like, these conditions are so poor, these regulations are so fast that we can't do our job, and these planes are unsafe. And Boeing apparently ignored them. And this is something that was echoed by John Barrett's testimony. You're saying you don't believe that?
No. No, I think...
No, and you won't either once you hear the new whistleblower.
No, Max, and you won't either once you hear the new whistleblower.
New whistleblower?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's play the clip.
Okay.
You think the problems at Boeing are because of corporate greed? No, it's because of the DEI program. Wait, the DEI program is only the tip of the iceberg. It goes all the way to the top. The Democrats want to make planes gay and gay for the ground. So at Boeing, they would take the white engineers and make them crash test dummies, and they would have to apologize for slavery.
Walter, what the hell are you doing? Why are you here so early? Okay, coming back from the whistleblower. Why?
I was trying to get us on a better podcast.
You're trying to... Walter, you said that Boeing, because of the left, was making planes gay for the ground. No reputable podcast would risk putting that kind of shit on the air. Are you kidding me?
What are you talking about? Joe Rogan said this last week.
Yes. You want to put the tinfoil hat back on? I got an explanation.
Okay.
Okay, so earlier I said that the goal is to degrow the West and facilitate China's rise. Okay, so what's happening? Boeing 737, Boeing 737, Boeing, Boeing, Boeing. And we see all this DEI stuff at Boeing. We see all these problems. We just see this guy that committed suicide. That
the
was
whistleblower?
The whistleblower against Boeing, who was saying some deep stuff, like that they were intentionally fitting bogus parts. I don't know if this is true, but that's what he was alleging. And then all of a sudden he, decided it was a good day to kill himself right before his deposition he was supposed to go to. And so, I mean, it's weird timing. But he's saying that Boeing could be construed, let's suggest, as though it's deliberately committing suicide as an organization. It's cutting corners. It's locked in by this ESG, DEI stuff. That's it. The easy question is, why is DEI? Because ESG. It's the S in ESG. But little do most Americans realize, in addition to scaring the hell out of people and getting people to fly less, China just released a new jet like 2 years ago called the Comac C919 that is a direct competitor to the Boeing 737. So maybe you kill Boeing and you allow American manufacturing of high-quality aircraft to fall, and then the Chinese competitor is now the thing on the market that doesn't have this bad rap sheet and this risk factor. Maybe it's big, dirty international business.
Okay, no, there's no way that they could say something that insane without the proper context. I know that, they're like us. Like, they're not professionals. They probably went in half-cocked without knowing anything, right?
Oh, no, they knew everything.
Well, had they listened to the specific complaint that Joe Barrett was saying about, like, the cutting corners?
Yeah, they played that on the show.
Well, what about the numerous other complaints from employees and the federal investigation into the reduction in quality control?
They played that.
Did they mention that since the DEI program started, Boeing, there's actually fewer black people working there?
No, they didn't mention that. That's kind of a secret. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, don't tell anyone that there's less diversity at Boeing than when they started DEI. Okay, but what about that extremely damning clip of his sister recounting the conversation she had with him days before his death, where he says, if anything happens to me, it's not a suicide, because he knew that Boeing was out to get him?
Oh, they played that clip as well.
This clip?
He wasn't concerned about safety because I asked him, I said, aren't you scared? And he said, and his voice and the way he would talk, no, I ain't scared. He said, but if anything happens to me, it's not suicide. I know that he did not commit suicide. There's no way. He loved life too much. He loved his family too much. He loved his brothers too much to put them through what they're going through right now.
And he basically told you not to believe it.
Yeah.
So they played that, and they still think it's a suicide?
No, they don't think it's a suicide at all. Just because the medical examiner ruled it a suicide, you're going to be like, oh, it was a suicide. Oh, well, the medical examiner said Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Oh, it must be true. Let's believe the medical examiner. I mean,
no one ever believes the medical examiner. Yeah, of course.
These are people that they don't believe any doctor at all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Any medical professional at all.
All right. You got me. Okay, but anyways, moving on. We actually do want to get a little serious now, because our next subject is Nex Benedict, the trans kid in Oklahoma who was beaten savagely and died as a result of very anti-trans rhetoric in their district.
Yeah, that was tragic, and we should investigate it to its fullest.
Well, recently the medical examiner has ruled it a suicide.
Oh, well, that's it.
Yep.
Case closed. I mean, look.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah,
Okay.
we were actually going to dedicate the rest of the episode to this, but
hey, I mean, the medical examiner has spoken.
Yep. So, anyways, from all of us at We Are Not Journalists, we will see you next week.
That's
apologies
it.
to Ted Cruz. All right. Thank you for joining us. Didn't do that again.
Okay.
So, what are you doing this weekend?
Got a busy weekend, with the missus,
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right.
I mean, my whole schedule is cleared now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
This
going to be
is
easy. Hey, Walter?
Yeah?
Come back for a second. I was just thinking, do we care whether Nex was killed because they were beaten to death or whether they were bullied to death?
I don't. The difference doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, then, I guess maybe we should talk about it.
Yeah.
You take away all the photos that are splashed across media of Nex, and it's my child dying on that bathroom floor.
A more, woke school board would see the death of a child and work to make sure it never happens again. Not this board.
I cannot allow my child to keep getting bullied. And if y'all won't stand up and say anything for him, I will.
All right, so if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. This is the state of Oklahoma, a state with, as it turns out, kind of a fucked up culture when it comes to dealing with queer students in schools.
To put it mildly.
Yeah. One of the things they did is they brought in the founder of Libs of TikTok.
Yeah, Chaya Rachek.
What is that?
Libs of TikTok. So basically, it started as a Twitter account. Now it's on Instagram, thankfully. Oh my God. Thank you, Zuck. So, Libs of TikTok, they take videos of LGBTQ, they re-edit them to make them a little bit more spicy. They recontextualize them. So, if it's a child at a strip club, hey, that's not a strip club. That's drag story hour.
I often find that drag story hours take place in dimly lit nightclubs with poles. That's...
Yeah, I mean, if you've never been to a library before, you could be confused.
Hard to read, though. Hard to read.
Yeah.
I mostly know Libs of TikTok because they post pictures of black people committing crimes.
Yes.
To talk about mobs of violence, but it's always minorities. It's never white people stealing stuff.
It's never the white woman and her husband who just got busted, and there was like an $8 million organized crime shoplifting ring.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, stop. We don't. Let's not get into the white woman and her husband that have stolen $8 million.
This is why CVS has to lock up their ice cream.
Yeah, and it's not because of her. Okay, it's inner city. Let's keep it to the inner city. It's not don't look that up. All right, it'll ruin the whole narrative.
So they brought this lady who founded this very provocative far right internet social media channel to advise their school system.
The LGBTQ community has become this cult, and it's so captivating. They brainwash people to join, and they convince them of all of these things. Parents who are like, my child is starting to say, that they're non-binary or transgender or whatever, and what do I do? How do I stop this? And it's really, really difficult. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, I think. It's extremely poisonous.
What the fuck is happening in Oklahoma?
Well, I think, Max, that they're pro-bullying.
They're for bullying. That's
they're for it.
Wrong take. It's controversial. It's innovative.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think they hired Chaya?
I guess it makes sense, especially when you look at their government. I mean, their state legislature is filled with people like State Senator Tom Woods, who said this in response to Nex Benedict's death. That was it. Wait, we keep on. Okay, and then so we played it. It's like, ooh, strong words.
Yeah, way to really
stand up to that dead kid.
Yeah, it's that dead kid.
And for me, I think this is really what the Nex Benedict situation is about. It's not so much even just them or that case. It's what it tells us about the way school life is like for queer students in Oklahoma right now. Which is to say, not very good.
Yeah, no. So I spoke with one of the moms and everything. Wait, why are you doing Count Dracula?
Because bullying is spooky.
Do you want to do Count Dracula while we're talking about dead children?
No, I do not. So you were talking to some parents in Oklahoma?
So here is an interview I have with one of the parents.
Everybody out here deserves a voice. Nex deserved a voice. We could have prevented this. And instead, we're making children feel, when they're part of this community, that unless you fit in this bubble, we don't want you around. As a parent of children in the community, I'm outraged because you take away the name and you take away all the photos that are splashed across media of Nex, and it's my child dying on that bathroom floor. It's everyone's child whose life was taken. And everybody needs to see that, and everybody needs to speak up. They need to use their voice. Or it's not if we're going to continue to see tragedy, it's when is the next one coming.
This is the state that appointed Chaya Rachik, the head of Libs of TikTok, as a school board member. I
don't even see how that is legal. So my school district is the Edmonds School District. It's creepy, but 5 years ago I stood before them talking about this issue, bullying, and where it was leading and all the violence going on and doing something about it. And if they didn't, tragedies were coming. And they did. We had students take their lives. We haven't experienced what Owasso has experienced with a student being beat to death, but beatings do go on in our school. Owasso itself is dealing with 30 plus students right now that feel like they're in danger since this happened, that are part of the LGBTQ community. There's so many people in Oklahoma caught up in this whole, like you said, you're going to go to hell if you don't fit in this bubble, that they don't want to do anything. They want us just to go away, and we're not going away. Someone has died.
You're going to love this. I go to school boards across the country, and the big talking point is, well, hey, I'm totally fine with LGBTQ. I mean, be whatever you want, but, the flags and that stuff, I mean, what place does that have in school, really?
What place does the American flag have in school? It's the same to me. It's a community coming together. So one group is okay, but the next isn't. We can honor one flag, but we can't honor them all. No, I don't think so. I think we should be accepting of everybody. It's like in our district, Edmond, years ago, they tried to put together an LGBTQ club. They didn't allow it. They wouldn't accept it. And that was years ago when my first child was in school, and they just were looking for a community to belong to. It shouldn't take this tragedy for us to start saying, oh, well, we're really for you, but only if you stand over here behind the closet.
Only if you stand back in the closet, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it wasn't just her. You have other moms giving testimony about how rampant bullying culture is, how their children are being bullied, and the school is doing nothing about it.
And this is in Owasso, in the same county where...
Same school.
Wow.
My personal experience that I've dealt with bullying with my own teenage son through Owasso since last year of moving here. Him coming home telling me he was called a fag today, that he was called gay for having an earring. My child doesn't fit the social norm because he wants to just be himself. I cannot allow my child to keep getting bullied. And if y'all won't stand up and say anything for him, I will. As a parent, you don't know what it's like to step in our shoes. Because until you come home and your kid's on the floor crying because he doesn't know what else to do, because there's so many emotions, because he can't even walk down the hallway without getting shoved or pushed because of all these bullies, and y'all won't do anything about it.
My son has been bullied all year where nothing has been done. We've made reports, all that stuff, and nothing's been done. They get picked on because I'm a lesbian mother. Like, how fair is that to my child?
This just goes to show that Nex's story is not an isolated incident. It is a reflection of a larger problem. In the wake of this tragedy, instead of stepping up to address the systemic issues at play, Owasso public school officials have resorted to victim blaming publicly. We are told, if you were bullied so badly, why didn't you fight back? And in the next breath, if you wouldn't have fought back, this never would have happened. We are forced to play a rigged game of your creation. Let me be very clear. We will not allow this to continue.
So there was actually a little controversy with you going down there in the first place.
Yeah, I remember when I said I wanted to go down there, you were like,
Actually, I believe I was like, don't.
Okay, yeah, you said don't unequivocally. And I had to convince, I was explaining, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do my normal goof. I'm not going to goof on a dead trans child. And I was kind of weirded out about, I was like, wait, do you think Okay,
I believe what you said is I'm going to go and make those people look so stupid. And I was like, you cannot go in there as MAGA America being like, well, I like killing dead kids.
No, I wasn't
like Yosemite Sam, but for killing.
Well, no, that's why
kids.
I asked you to help me write the speech, because I wanted to make a speech that didn't center myself.
I believe what I said is, all right, if you're going to do this, I'm going to write the first draft of the speech to make sure you don't center yourself.
We were both in agreement on this.
I don't know. I feel like you were really hungry.
Do you think I was walking around like, I know it's a dead child, but it's a perfect venue for my stand-up set?
We are all in the thrall of the content creation machine, you know?
Yeah, as if I had no awareness, like, because in a situation like that, because if the left, if progressives started skewering me over that, everyone that hates me in MAGAville would be like, oh, let's pile on.
You would have united the country around hating Walter Masterson.
I would have.
Like, everyone would be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to get the tone right. And, like, I spent before I was, not that I could have stopped you, but before I was, like, willing to help you, I spent 3 days, like, just, like, going through different versions where it's like, okay, it can't be funny. It can't be funny. It can't be funny.
Every version you came to me with was just vitriol.
It was pretty angry.
But it was very well-directed vitriol, but it was just foaming at the mouth. And I said, like, okay, we need to be satirical and vitriolic towards them at the same time. Like, we need...
Well, I mean, I think the final draft was still 90% anger, but you're like, it's like, can I have a joke as a treat? And it's like, what if I said this? I was like, okay, fine.
I was like, no, what about like, this?
Yeah. No, and I think hopefully we ended up in a good spot on it. It was also a little terrifying because right before you went up, you were worried that you couldn't speak at all after flying down there.
Oh, they did a great job of silencing everyone, because we've been to these school board meetings at every other meeting. You walk in, you sign up to speak for public comment.
You speak.
Yeah. That's it. When I came in, they go, oh, sorry. See, if you want to speak on non-agenda items, you had to have emailed us a week in advance. And these people that are on the list to speak, they all emailed us a week in advance for non-agenda items. And I was like, she's like, oh, if you want to speak, you can only speak on
the agenda.
Agenda items. So
you called me in a blind panic, and you're like, I can only speak on the agenda, and you read the full agenda to me, and we were just like, which of these can we just...
Which one sounds like...
Which can we get it in? And there was an agenda on, like, school safety, which I'm like, oh, okay, great.
They're like going to hire more cops.
Yeah.
Like, let's hire some cops.
They want to hire 2 school safety officers.
Cops, yeah. And so and more cops.
Yeah, and so we went like back to the speech, and we just like cut out 3 paragraphs, and we're just like, okay, you start by saying, my kid doesn't feel safe for some reason.
Like, the first sentence was dedicated to the agenda item, and then the rest was me just waiting to be grabbed and tossed.
We were full, like I was just like, you know, they pull you out, and you knew this, but it was just like, you don't stop talking.
Yeah, because you were like, let him throw you out. It looks better if, like, while you're talking, like, you know, give your speech in the parking lot.
Right. And again, the goal was not to center ourselves in the middle of a tragedy. But yeah, you know, ideally, if he was being dragged out of the meeting, kicking and screaming, we would want to still get that content.
Yeah, it was like...
God, we're monsters.
I understand we have one speaker, Mr. Walter Masterson. Mr. Masterson.
A more, woke school board would see the death of a child and work to make sure it never happens again. Not this board. This board sees a dead kid and says, that's a good start, because this school board signed up to protect all children. And by all children, they mean these children, not so much these children. Hate us if you want, but we're the good guys. We want to let kids be kids, and there's nothing more unnatural than a teenager experimenting with their identity. It has never happened before and should be punished. We're the good guys. We'll spit on a kid's grave, blame the parents, and tell our teenagers to hit them harder. We're the good guys. When we heard that a trans child had been beaten to death, our state senator, Tom Woods, immediately released a statement. We don't want that filth in Oklahoma. We can call children filth, even the dead ones, because, we're the good guys, right? And if we're wrong, if God doesn't want us driving off the lepers and deviants and worshiping the bankers, if our God doesn't want us casting the first stone, if our God doesn't want us loving people despite their differences, well, if we're wrong, then I guess I'll see you all in hell. Thank you.
So you and I both thought, all right, well, I'm going to get skewered for this by our own people.
No, I was worried about that before we were done with the speech. After the speech, I felt like,
All right. What I didn't expect, I didn't expect to get ratioed for it by the right for lying and spreading propaganda about what happened.
I think all you said is that they died. And that the school board was like, you suck.
I said the caption, the title of the video was speaking at the school board where Nex Benedict was killed.
Yeah.
And they were like,
controversial.
Nex Benedict wasn't killed at the school, and
they died at home.
And they started the fight. And it just all this thing of it was an overdose. It was a thing, and the left did it.
And it's funny because you ran into a different issue with your YouTube comments.
Yeah, so about that. So the end of this 30-minute video, I do a small commentary, and I referred to Nex as she, and that was wrong. That is the wrong gender.
But it's actually kind of hilarious why you did that.
Yeah, so all of the chuds, transphobes, while they're ratioing me, they're like trying to intentionally misgender.
This is on
Nex.
TikTok and Instagram.
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter,
Yeah.
in my DMs, on the everywhere, and so they're saying, "Oh, he killed himself."
Right, which
Nex killed himself.
And so all these jerks are calling Nex he, him, and which is one of Nex's preferred pronouns.
Yes. Amongst friends, Nex went by he, him. Amongst everyone else, they, them.
Yeah.
So they were closer than me. And I saw the he, and I go, oh, well, it must be the opposite of whatever they're saying.
Yeah,
and it turns out MAGA chuds, transphobes, Nazis, you were like closer in this instance, slightly closer, and through not meaning to be. I don't know how you got there, but yeah.
It does make me question our whole philosophy of doing the exact opposite.
I was trying to do, like, I saw what they were doing, and I was like, oh, great, let's not do that. For the record, this is my bad. I take responsibility for it. I want to apologize for misgendering Nex. It was not done intentionally. It was done through my own carelessness. And this is my bad.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you could take responsibility for your role in the situation, unlike the state of Oklahoma, which has yet to do so. And, the medical examiner's full report might come out by the time this episode airs. And if it does, again, who gives a shit? Because we are talking about a cultural situation.
I don't, it's so weird. What are we proving? It's like, well, it was everyone can go home now. It was a trans child committed suicide.
Oh, we can go back to bullying them.
Yeah, we can go back to bullying them.
Which is legitimately an unstated idea that the right is pushing behind all this. It's like, oh, they're bullying out of proportion. These kids don't belong here, and they're killing themselves, and they're filth, and they're garbage. And honestly, this culture war stuff, all these guys, said in the speech, right? They want to protect the children, but not all the children. Okay. These kids.
Listen, Max, I think it's time to call our friend. Just breathe in, Max. Just breathe in.
at this time. Please leave a brief message with your name, phone number, email address, and zip code. Thank you.
Fuck you.
Woo! Felt a little bit better.
I don't know that I feel better. In fact, I feel worse. The only cure for me is to go online and try to de-radicalize people on the far right until they understand what gender-affirming care is, and what a trans person is, and what a bathroom is, and what intersex is, or what anything is, because they literally don't know what any of it means. And hopefully next week something lighter.
Yeah, let's do something lighter, like how the next election might be the end of our democracy. Like lighter.
Yeah, something chill.
Like we can all really, oh yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, I guess we shouldn't blow it out of proportion. It's not like, the president wants to be, like, we shouldn't blow it out of proportion. It's not like President Trump wants to be a dictator or something. Anyways, on your way out, here's a clip of President Trump saying he wants to be like Kim Jong-un.
Talked about that yesterday I think it's something that could happen. Yeah. Hey, he's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different. Right. He speaks and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same. Well,